Ciao, everyone. This is Esther.
Alfred here, Santa's little helper, reporting from Sicily.
Are you seriously Santa's little helper? Good for you.
Big helper.
All right.
I'm his elf. They
Listen,
call me Alf.
Elf or Elf? Sounds alike.
It's pretty cool.
Elf.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. All right, we have our Christmas tour going on, and one of the stops was in Cefalu. I'm going to show you all the beautiful festivities. It's lit up really, really nicely. But boy, I was shocked that it was empty. It was empty. It was the first time that I've been there in the month of December. Of course, I've been there many, many other times, but it was pretty empty. Not a lot of tourists.
Well, before you talk about that, there's other stuff to talk about.
I know that's called the preview, Alfred. That's called the tease.
All right, so
that means a tease. We'll have it in just a little bit.
This must be a post for you then, because Esther got up at 4 a.m. this morning, which she never
3:30.
3:30 this morning. That's right. I woke her up because she was the guest for roughly 45 minutes on WBZ Radio's The Dan Ray Show, which is called
Nightside with Dan Ray.
Nightside with Dan Ray. 50,000 watts of power hitting all the way to the Mississippi River. And Bunster is on there doing her thing.
It was a lot of
and
fun.
Guess what? Alfredo gave her an A+. And she got a lot of calls, including our very own
Peter
Skipoletti, who called in.
And my mom, of course.
Clara. So the show was a great success, and Dan messaged her after the show, complimenting on her what we call acumen, her knowledge, and has invited her
All
to come
about Sicily.
back again as a guest.
Yeah.
So
the reason
brava.
So the reason I know Dan Ray is because back in the day when I was in grad school, I interned at WBZ in Boston. It was a CBS or NBC affiliate, can't remember, with Liz Walker and Joe Bergantino. Liz Walker was the main 6 o'clock anchor, and Joe Bergantino was the main investigative reporter. And I met a lot of people there. And of course, through my TV career, subsequent TV career, and I worked at ABC affiliates in Michigan, in Vermont. I worked in New Hampshire, and ultimately at PBS in North Carolina. I kept in touch with a lot of those guys, and he's always saying, he's been like for several months saying, Esther, why don't you come on? Why don't you come on? And boom, we made it happen.
I remember back in 2020 in March, you got an email from Harris Faulkner. And then she was at Fox News.
Yeah.
Right? And she did a live report for Fox News that was seen by hundreds of thousands of people on the COVID situation that was here. She did a live report right from where we are in our little studio here.
All right, so look at this, you guys. I bought this hat in Cefalu. I walked in there. I went into, I don't want to mess my hair up. You'll see you'll see me wearing this later on.
We want the hat.
No, it's better with my hair down.
What do you think of my new hat? Cute, huh? Bought it here in Cefalu.
Anyway, the reason I went into Coppola, which is one of my favorite stores to stop in Cefalu, they sell all types of hats, is because I wanted Doug, Rosemary's husband, he'd been talking about hats, to buy a hat. And I go in there, and boom, I see this yellow hat, and boom, I bought it. It's a Christmas gift for me. What do you guys
think? Did he buy a
think?
hat?
Nope, he didn't buy a hat. He didn't,
what's that hat made of? It looks like it's made of like heavy winter material, huh?
Lana, 100% made in Italy, 100% wool.
Yeah, it looks like a great hat to wear.
Very, very exciting.
Now you have to buy a whole ensemble to wear with it, don't you? A whole outfit. You can't just have.
I need a yellow
That'd be interesting if you just had a hat.
Anyway,
Boy,
so
we'd
we
get
went.
a lot of views, that's for sure.
Anyway, Cefalu in the province of Palermo. I love that little town. Normally it's very, very touristy there. And it's called Cefalu. The Greeks called it Kephala, which means head. Kephala in Greek means head because of that beautiful mountain that for them it looked like a head. But you can see the cathedral from miles and miles and miles away, the beautiful Duomo. And it was built by Roger II, and he started at about 1100s. And the story goes, because you know everything is about myths and legends, is that he was on a ship out in the Tyrrhenian Sea, right? Because by us it's the Ionian Sea, over there it's the Tyrrhenian Sea, and there was a wild storm, and he prayed to Jesus and he said, if you save me, I will building a Duomo, a cathedral in your honor. And he was saved, and he arrived right at the shores of Cefalu, and he built that beautiful, beautiful Duomo. But another story goes, Alfred, that that prominent two-tower, beautiful cathedral was built to make the Norman presence known in Sicily, because they only arrived around 1090. So 1100s, he was already building great cathedrals. So, you know, as always, inside is absolutely beautiful. You have Christ Pentecoster, and you know, one of the things that I love going inside is it's not a finished cathedral, right? It's simple and it's elegant. It's got the Christ holding, very interestingly, his fingers 2 digits up with the thumb. You know what that means?
Hey, che stai facendo? No? Okay, I don't know then.
His demonstrating his humanness and his divinity, and then the other 3 are the, I was going to say Trinacria, but it's the trilogy.
You know, I know a couple of interesting factoids about that place. Is that the mosaics were made by a combination of not only Normans but also Muslim artisans as well.
That's right.
That place is just breathtaking.
Yeah.
And when you come to Sicily and you don't go there, you have to come back and go there. That's number 1. And number 2 factoid, which really should be number 1, is that the Normans, right? The Normans were the descendants of the Vikings who got Christianized under Rollo, the head. That guy was an unbelievable general, or whatever you call, for the Vikings. He was given land by the King of France just to shut him up, and they settled in France, and over time, Rollo's descendants, the Vikings, Christianized and became the real tough, and you know, because they came over here with not too many people and conquered everybody over here, those Mormons, right?
Yeah.
They didn't have so many people here.
Right.
They were tough. Vikings.
Now,
so we may have some Viking blood in us.
of course you do.
know.
Now, back to the Christ Pantocrator that he's holding, like that I said, trilogy. It's actually Trinity, the mystery of the Trinity. And in his other hand, he is holding the Gospel of John. And I just love what is written on there. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not wander in darkness, but will have the light of life. Amen. And there was a beautiful nativity scene inside, but I also walked around with Rosemary and Doug, and we saw some other beautiful nativity scenes and decorations all over.
Well, is this the appropriate time to like show us? I would like to see this video myself. So let's roll it, baby, roll it.
Buongiorno from Cefalu, province of Palermo. Over here with some friends, walking around, taking in the Christmas sights. Let's see this beautiful nativity scene. The entire town is decorated with beautiful Christmas ornaments. Here's the Christmas tree in the Piazza Duomo. Sort of interesting. And you guys know everything looks much better at night, right? When it's all lit up. Beautiful nativity scene inside the Duomo here in Cefalu. Look at the offerings, bread and fish. There's a pomegranate over there. And there's the inside of this magical cathedral built by Roger as a promise to the Savior for having saved him from an incredibly violent storm. And he ended up in the shores of Cefalu and built this majestic cathedral.
video.
Look at this recipe of Cefalu. All the characters are out. Oh, that's cool. Here's a little pool. Or maybe that's the natural water. And there's the duomo. That is a beautiful display. Look at that angel. And, baby Jesus is missing, I think.
Too soon. He's not due for a couple of days.
Devi leggere su mare, manicomio.
Now this is a beautiful display. Ah, piccolo mondo antico. Water's a little high, but it's a beautiful December day. And in the summertime, this area, the Lungamare down here, lined with all types of colorful umbrellas. People pay about €10 and they get a bed and an umbrella and go into the Tyrrhenian Sea. Over by us, remember, in Catania, is the Ionian Sea. And look how beautiful the town looks. There's the cathedral, the towers of the cathedral. And then La Rocca, the big cliff. And then, let me turn the camera around a little bit. And let's see if you can see Palermo. Yeah, you can see a little bit of Palermo over there.
The other thing we did was go to the ancient wash house, which up until recently women were still washing clothes in the waters called Cerafino, the natural waters of Cefalu. It's a beautiful little place. And, you know, a lot of things here in Sicily, if you walk by too fast and if you don't take your time walking around and looking around, you may miss it. So it's definitely a must-see down at the bottom of the cathedral in Vittorio Emanuele.
How old
so that's
is that?
a beautiful, ancient during the Roman times. You know, I always say, by the way, you guys, to all of our travelers, and for you, if you've been traveling or you will be traveling, I always advise people to do this. You know, walk around, look in front of you, but then stop, look above you. You may see some beautiful art or something that you may miss.
Yup.
Look behind you, because the scene that you just left may give you another little perspective, and look below you. So you get a full spectrum. Take your time, walk around, and take a 360 of wherever you go.
I was told that, maybe you told me or somebody told me, it was the other Esther, that when the women would be washing their clothes, they'd be singing songs.
Yes.
They would be singing songs.
Sicilian songs.
Ancient Sicilian songs, right?
And the
over there?
same thing in Ortigia. You know, there's that restaurant in Ortigia, and not a lot of people know about it, that underneath the Lavanderia restaurant is an ancient place where up until recently, in the 1950s, I believe, they stopped. Women were still washing clothes. It's pretty incredible, because over there as well, there's natural water flowing.
You know, Esther, about 15 years ago, before you came, I was up in Cefalu. This is a true story, too. And my clothes were all dirty, so I figured I'm going to wash my clothes. So I went to this place that everybody was talking to me about, but I couldn't find the place to put the coins in to start the machines up. So how do you do that? Actually, there aren't any machines.
No, it's
built in stone, and you go like this.
But it's really
you wash
a
your clothes
step
like that.
back
Awesome
into
place.
the past. You can stand there,
Yep,
and
it's an awesome
it
place.
harkens you back to an ancient time. I love that word.
If you're gonna go to that neck of the woods, you ought to spend a whole day there, because they have some of the most great and romantic little wine bars that are tucked into corners.
Yeah, with the beautiful views.
The views.
You know where else we also stop at the Molu, which is the site of the movie Cinema Paradiso. Just a beautiful, majestic town. And you guys, as many photos or videos I take of that place, it just doesn't do it justice. It's just breathtaking,
it's just a
right?
great.
Right?
I have to say, Cefalu is one of my top 3 places to go in Sicily. I think it's great. And actually,
What's top 2? What are the other two?
Well, I'm not going to include my home area then.
Okay.
Okay,
Nope.
I'm not going to include the home area, but I'm going to say Catania, obviously.
The city?
Because the historical district of Catania,
Okay.
not all Catania, by the university and the Piazza Duomo. That's one of my favorite areas. Ortigia is another one of my favorite areas. And I also like Castellamare like you do. I think Castellamare is a great. And number 4 would be Sciacca. I like Sciacca a lot.
We're gonna have
So those
to
are
talk
my
about.
areas.
We're gonna have to talk about Sciacca a little bit more, but I agree with you. I would put Palermo in there as well. It's it's a little bit crazy, but the rich history and there's so much to see in one little area. You can spend days in Palermo. But someone asked me on the radio show, "What's your favorite place in Sicily?" And I'm like, that's not fair. You cannot ask me that.
That's right,
You
you can't.
cannot answer that because in every province, in every city, in every area, there's some kind of a treasure. There's a different personality. There's different foods. It's just one treasure after another. And, you just, I can't just answer that. I don't have a favorite place. They're all my favorite for different reasons.
Let me give you a couple of great recommendations when you go to Cefalu and you come from the highway. Okay, there's a highway that goes in. Once it's a road. It's like I think it's 114. It actually links Cefalu to Palermo. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a restaurant there. What's the name of that restaurant? Across
Himera. That's in Termini Imerese.
which is the next town over. So when you get off
actually, it's between Termini Imerese and Campo Felice di
Rocella,
Rocella.
right.
And it's right across from the Temple of Victory, which historically is one of the most important temples
Significantly
in
important
Sicily. And there's no sign saying, here's the most important,
right.
one of the most important Greek temples in Sicily. It's not written anywhere.
So you have to visit Himera on the way to Cefalu.
Yeah.
And you have to have lunch at this particular restaurant that we just mentioned.
The problem is that when you get off the highway, if you're coming for
You have
Catania,
to make a left instead of a right.
right. So
okay, you make
but
a
if you're
left.
going to the
Right.
Cefalu, it's on the other way.
All you do is you make a quick left as you get off the highway, and you go back towards Palermo about a mile.
Yeah.
And Himera is right there. The restaurant's exactly across the street. If you don't want to go there and you make a right, I would suggest even before you go to Cefalu to look at the indication there for Campo Felice di
Yeah, that's the
Rocella.
exit we
It's a
took.
small little town, okay? There's one road in there. You can't get lost.
Yeah.
Park the car at what they call the Bella Vista. It's a beautiful view.
Well, you have to go up
You have to go up because it's
the
high.
town. So when you're on the main road, you have to take a right and go up
Correct.
into
You
the
have to take a
town.
right. You go up. You park at the beautiful sightseeing place called La Bella Vista, and there you'll see the 2 bronze statues
Yeah.
of the 2 here anti-mafia fighters, Borsellino and Falcone, that are sitting there admiring the beautiful view of the Bella Vista.
And something is written there about the importance of the 2 judges with the work that they did,
Yeah.
and let's pass it on to
Yeah.
the youngsters. So that's a very interesting thing. By the way, in Campo Felice di Rocella, talk about history and little known facts. Campo Felice di Rocella was one of the largest creators and growers of sugarcane here in Sicily and also Southern Europe and the entire area. They had the monopoly of sugarcane. Who would have known? By the way,
That's very interesting.
Who brought the sugarcane to Sicily? Of course, the Arabs. The Arabs brought here the sugarcane, and with that, the advent, of course, of sweets. Because before then, this whole idea of having sweets didn't really exist here in Sicily. Of course, with the advent of sugar canes, also they made the granita, the crushed ice, and then they put the sugar in there and the local flavors, the pistachio, the almonds, the lemon, a million different flavors. And also they brought the cannolo, right? The cannolo, the sweetness of the cannolo comes from what they used was sugarcane. Cannolo, by the way, there's something very, very similar in Arab desserts. So that's a little bit of tidbit about Campo
Wait a
Felice
minute,
di
there's
Rocella,
one other
right
thing
outside
I
of
want to talk
Cefalu.
about Campo Felice just
Yeah.
briefly. When you go up there and you see the Bella Vista, and then you just park your car, because it's within 100 yards away. There's the Borsellino and
Yeah.
Falcone. But if you continue on walking about another 100 yards, you'll come into the little tiny town square, and there is a small, quintessential, beautiful, spectacular little Sicilian church.
I can't remember who's
I can't think.
dedicated.
There's only one.
There's only one.
I used to make a trip up there when we used to bring our group years ago. We used to stay at a beach resort down below in Campo Felice on the beach. I used to make special trips up there just to go and sit in that beautiful little church.
Very simple.
Very simple, but it's. I want to say it's kind of like holy. I felt like, okay, I'm in a great church here, great statues, and I'd stay there for 30 minutes, walk around the town, a couple of coffee bars there, look at the Bella Vista, say hi to the two judges, and then leave. I mean, it's a great little thing to do on the way to Cefalu.
You know, going back to Cefalu, I like to go, even though I've been there a million times, just sit there and a little bit of silence and say a quick prayer for everyone, for everything. Just
I have one more
quick
question
little
for
prayer.
you.
And you know, the one thing with the cathedral in Cefalu that it's so cool. You know, that was the first one. Then they built the one in Montreal, and then the Cappella Palentina, which is just breathtaking. Knocks you out. It's an explosion for the eyes. I mean, you stand there and every square inch is covered with mosaics of some significance, some story, some history, some biblical scene or something. But what really is special about the one in Cefalu is that it's unfinished. It's simple. It's big.
Don't forget, you can go swimming there too, because there's like a little area down below that has beautiful white sand.
Oh, yeah.
Full of shops. Parking is easy too. It's free swimming. It doesn't cost any money. They have great hat sellers there for summer hats.
Or you can get an umbrella and a bed for about 10, 15.
That's correct. And what you can do is you can go one of those little places and you get the Aperol Spritz. You sit down and you just kind of gawk at people. I'm a gawker, and I love that place. And here's one for you.
Yeah.
What is the name of that beautiful restaurant that we used to take our clients to on the other side of
San Ambrogio? It's in San Ambrogio.
It's in San Ambrogio.
And it's like the only restaurant in town.
Okay. There's this restaurant. The next town over is called San Ambrogio.
And by the way, when you sit, you see the sunset. Over here we get the sunrise. Over there you get the sunset, and you have a glass of wine there. It's beautiful.
That is a great restaurant. And if you have stuff...
Who's the god of wine?
The god of wine is Bacchus.
I think the name of the restaurant is Bacchus. For some reason I want to say it's Bacchus.
It's Bacchus?
I can't remember. It's the only restaurant in San Ambrogio, but it's worth the trip up there. Let me tell you.
That road that they're on, okay, that's San Ambrogio, if you keep on going straight, you know, it will take you all the way to Messina. It is I've written about it in my books. It's a beautiful shore drive, and you pass through some beautiful places, including where? What are some of the places that on that beautiful road? Do you remember?
No.
Oh, come on.
No.
Capo Orlando. You pass through Capo Orlando, and you go all the way up to Milazzo. What's it called?
Milazzo.
Yeah, pass and go through Tindari, by Tindari. There's a lot of
before Tindari, you have Santo Stefano di
Camastra. That's another half a day drive.
Yeah.
So you could really make a 2-day little jaunt if you wanted to. You know that top part of Sicily between Messina and Palermo, okay, is underrated. Everybody talks about the Catania, Taormina, axis, or the Palermo, Sciacca axis, or in the bottom, but the top is great. The top part is, and that's just a wonderful, and even as we said, getting off the highway instead of making a right, if you make a left heading towards Palermo, that's another straight road. My favorite town, one of my favorite towns that we end up going to is Bagheria. And there's a lot of great little towns.
Well, there's Mondello, there's Aspra, there's a million little towns. That's why when people say, what's your favorite? You
can't say, there's no such thing as a favorite.
So listen, can we talk a little bit about food?
food. Sure, I love talking about food.
We've had a great time with our guests here, and one day we had a couple of pasta dishes that were really, really, really delicious. Take a look.
All right, we're starting out with a little calamari fritte, a little bit of bruschetta salad. How is it?
It's delicious.
Delicious? We got the window behind you there. Fresh calamari. How is it, Alfred?
It's really fresh. As a matter of fact, this fella here was talking to me.
It's not
He said,
very.
"Help me, help me."
It's not
But I
very
ate it.
heavily breaded. Very light. And of course, we're having vino. Spada melanzane qui. Let's see.
We have two with melanzana.
Yep.
Look at this.
What are you having?
This is
Pasta con la sarde.
with the sardines and the pasta. And if I didn't know better, I'd swear my grandmother was in the kitchen. This is delicious.
What do you think, Breezy?
D'accordo.
Accordo, brava.
yours,
And
sir.
what are you having?
I am having
Face is yours.
pasta with swordfish.
An eggplant.
And eggplant. It's fabulous.
Pasta con melanzane e pesce spada. Buon appetito!
This is what the green pass looks like.
What are you having now?
Pasta che modiga with parsley in it, breadcrumbs, little garlic, and
I
olive oil.
had the I had a little bit of different dinner than she did. I had what they call a Sicilian peasant's dish, which I like to have down there, and it's pasta with we call it in Sicilian mudiga, which are breadcrumbs on top of it, and some anchovies, a little olive oil, and those guys down there make it really good.
Yeah.
It's very tasty.
I'm
so I
curious
like to
if
go
you
there.
guys have had that pasta con mudica, as they say there. Mudica. You got to do the accent right? Mudica. All right, you have another story about the chutzpah of the day?
You know, the chutzpah around here is going left and right. I like to talk to you about outrageous things that I read in the newspapers. Well, listen to this one, okay? 8 people got arrested yesterday in Palermo at the central processing place to get vaccinated. 8, okay? Including a cop, a nurse.
Wow. I didn't
Listen
even
to
see
this.
this.
A cop, a nurse, another person that may be a doctor. And how they caught them was because of the closed circuit TVs.
What were they doing?
And the other guy that got arrested was the head of the anti-vax movement in
But what were
Palermo.
they doing?
Listen to this, okay? So you check in, you go into that place, you give them your papers, and then you're going to go in for the shot, okay? Now, the nurse there would take the little vial of stuff that they're going to shoot and put it and empty it on a piece of gauze, okay? So all the stuff is going onto the gauze, and then administer a shot with not a shot, but pretend to administer a shot with an empty syringe, okay? They did 8 people
Wow.
yesterday, €400 each.
So wait, how did they get caught?
They got tipped off, number 1, and number 2, so they bagged them with the closed circuit TVs.
Really?
That is fraud against the state. That's criminal stuff. Now, I'm just wondering, how extensive is this, number 1?
Of course.
And number 2, is it happening in the United States?
Of course it is.
Okay?
It's happening all
so
over.
it's
People
one thing to
buying
be
CDC
philosophically
cards.
against the vaccination. I can understand your position of that, but that's criminal.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I just think, of course, people, the anti-vaxxers are going to say, well, getting a vax is criminal too, okay? So, but that's like, I just couldn't believe that I read that story. So, I mean, that was like chutzpah. It takes a lot of chutzpah to do that.
That's a good one.
And then finally, one other story in Sweden. And this actually, again, this goes to some of the conspiracy theories that I hear every day of the week here. Okay, one of the biggest theories I hear from people who really are not educated that well, or I didn't think was educated that well, was the whole business about, oh, they're putting a little microchip in the serum that they inject into you, and I don't want that, okay? So anyways, I'm reading in the paper yesterday, a Swedish doctor has devised a super tiny microchip that can be injected into your system, and this would have all your data. So it essentially would replace things from the CDC. It would the Green
Not
Pass
good.
and
Not
stuff like
good.
this, right? You
Not
don't think
good.
that's going to cost?
Not good.
I was reading that. I was like, holy God, this is 1984 revisited here. Why don't they just do it the way they're supposed to do it? Get a shot, good.
Agree with you, Al. Agree
Honestly,
with you.
huh?
All right.
Come on.
All right.
I'm
On
glad
that
you got
note,
a shot. I'm glad you got a shot. I'm
that
glad I
note.
got a shot. I'm glad all our clients got a shot, because that's how it goes. If we want to be in the tour business, those are the rules. Period.
All right, honey, ching ching. To
Wait a
you.
minute, that wasn't a rant either. That was not a rant.
It wasn't. It wasn't
Listen,
your
Esther,
usual rant.
congratulations today, dear. You did spectacular job with Dan Ray on his programming, and our group is just wonderful. Bob DeBasio and Breezy, Dr. Rosemary and Doug. We're
You know,
having
I have to say
wonderful,
that I'm
wonderful
very,
time with
very
them.
grateful and feel very, very blessed that I've had some really, really good clients that always turn into friends. So
Yep.
feeling very, very blessed. They're
Yep.
great guests. On that note, hope
Great.
you guys have a great day. Make sure you hit the like button, share this with a friend, and join our community. Get some behind the scenes views and scenes from Sicily, and also help support this channel.
I want to say
I'll
one
see-
thing.
Of course you do. Have you guys noticed every time I'm trying to wrap it up, he has one more thing to say? What if I say no?
Okay, are we going to be on Sunday?
On that note,
We have to say Merry Christmas.
of course we will. honey.
Okay, so I want to say Merry. If we don't see you
We
on
will know. We will see them on Sunday.
the hell with it. I'm not going to say Merry Christmas yet.
Arrivederci.
Sa benediga.